Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the RC Psych Star Scheme Information Evening. It gives me great pleasure to chair today's webinar. We'll hopefully be able to tell you everything you need to know about the college's Psych Star Scheme. So just to introduce myself, my name's Dr Declan Hyland, and I'm the lead clinician for the Psych Star Scheme. I'm also the college's Associate Dean for Choose Psychiatry. So I'm going to be chairing this evening's 1 hour webinar. This is your opportunity to ask any questions that you may have about the Psych Star Scheme, including any questions about the application process, etc. So we do have a Q&A function. So please do put all your questions in the Q&A box. Yeah, so do use the Q&A box for any questions. If you put them in the chat function, we may well miss the questions. We'll try and get through as many of the questions as we can towards the end of the webinar. We've specifically set aside 15 to 20 minutes to go through as many questions as we can, answer as many of them as we can. Please do note that the application information about the Psych Star Scheme will be uploaded to the college website, www.rcpsych.ac.uk, by midday tomorrow. And the application window will remain open until 1 p.m. on Tuesday, the 24th of March. And we will be doing the interviews for the Psych Star Scheme on the 14th of March. So just to provide a bit of an idea of agenda, so I'm going to give a bit of a brief overview about the Psych Star Scheme. And then I'm delighted that we will have one of our previous Psych Stars joining us, coming to speak about her experience, and also one of our current college Psych Stars as well, hopefully joining us to talk about her experience of currently being involved in the scheme. And then I'm delighted to say we've actually got one of our Psych Star Scheme mentors, Dr. Jacob Bird, joining us a little bit later on to provide his views and thoughts about being a mentor with the Psych Star Scheme. So I'm just going to share my screen so that I can share my slides. Okay, is that better?
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, to introduce myself, I'm Hyland, so I lead on the Psych Star Scheme. So what is the Psych Star Scheme? Well, the scheme is now well established. It was established in 2019. And it's a one-year scheme. So we run the scheme from the 1st of September to the 31st of August the following year. To be eligible to apply for the Psych Star Scheme, you must be a medical student enrolled on a full-time UK medicine degree at the start of the scheme. Okay, so in other words, on the 1st of September 2026. And the expectation is that you must be a student associate of the college. I would remind you all, as medical students, it is free for you to become a student associate of the college, so do sign up for that if you haven't already. So just a few important things about the application. So students who have previously been unsuccessful in applying for the Psych Star Scheme in previous years are absolutely eligible to apply again. And we would welcome applications from applicants who were unsuccessful in previous years. It's incredibly competitive, the Psych Star Scheme. So, hopefully you've been able to use your previous experience of applying to the scheme to submit a stronger application this time around. We absolutely welcome applications from medical students with any disabilities or any sort of health conditions. That would absolutely not mean that you can't apply. And we invite applications from medical students from all medical schools across the UK. And I'm aware there are lots of new medical schools that have popped up over the last few years. And it's always lovely to see applications from some of the newer medical schools. We want, applicants from all medical schools if possible. It's very much aimed at those students who are interested and committed to psychiatry and who are able to demonstrate evidence of this. So, we want this scheme to be seen as a springboard to enhancing that interest in psychiatry and your breadth of experience within the field. So essentially, there are two types of Psych Star bursaries. So we have the Central College Psych Star bursaries and we have the faculty-specific Psych Star bursaries. So with the college Psych Star bursaries, these will provide broad benefits designed for medical students who are interested in psychiatry as a whole. So not necessarily having an interest in one specific area or subspecialty of psychiatry. So as a college Psych Star, you have the opportunity to engage with college activities and networking opportunities. And it's myself that leads the process of finding and allocating a mentor to the college Psych Stars. And your mentor will be allocated according to your specific areas of interest, which we ask you to let us know about, and also geography as well. So we try and ensure with the college Psych Star bursaries that your mentor is someone local to where you're studying as a medical student. Now, the faculty-specific Psych Stars, these are funded by the individual faculties within the Royal College of Psychiatrists. So really what I would say is if you've got a specific area of interest in psychiatry, so for example, you're really interested in perinatal psychiatry or in forensic psychiatry, then the faculty Psych Star scheme is probably more suited to your interests. So the faculty itself will actually lead on the selection and appointment of the mentors for the individual faculty Psych Stars. Okay, so it does mean that it does mean that your mentor might not necessarily be geographically matched to where you're studying. What are the benefits of the Psych Star scheme? I mean, there are lots of benefits, and I would have loved a scheme like this to be available when I was a medical student. But I think the chief benefit, undoubtedly, is the opportunity to be mentored, to be allocated a senior psychiatrist, whether that's a consultant psychiatrist or SAS psychiatrist, who is able to essentially provide you with advice around a career in psychiatry, help open up opportunities to gain further clinical experiences that you might not get as part of your undergraduate curriculum, but also to advise you on conferences to attend or courses you might want to do and how to spend the CPD fund that you've allocated. So all of the Psych Stars will be invited and expected to attend an introduction evening at the college. And it's a great opportunity to meet in person, to meet your cohort of Psych Stars, and also a great opportunity for the mentors as well to also come down to the college and meet with their Psych Stars. And there was a lovely drinks reception, opportunity to meet the college officers and, of course, president of the college as well. So it's always a really fun evening, and it's usually well received. You will get free attendance at the flagship event of the college, which is the annual International Congress. So that will include travel and accommodation. So it's a 4-day conference. And again, it's a great opportunity to meet like-minded medical students, do some networking, and really hear about some of the cutting-edge research in psychiatry. But also there are academic benefits as well. So you get free access to the college's CPD online modules, and there are lots of modules, lots of podcasts, and also access to the MRC Psych e-learning as well. Now, this is really kind of getting ahead of the game, if you like, but essentially it supports our core trainees with preparing for their membership MRC Psych exams. But you will have access to that as a Psych Star. It's a great opportunity to learn a lot more about specific areas within psychiatry you might be interested in. And then there's free subscriptions to academic journals, so including the British Journal of Psychiatry, the Yellow Journal, and also the BJ Psych Bulletin as well. And perhaps, one of the best benefits of all is the fact that you have access to a CPD fund of £525 to use over the course of the 12 months. And you can use that for conferences, attending courses, or any events of interest. Okay, you may also use it towards a psychiatry-themed elective, or to purchase some psychiatry textbooks. Your mentor is a good person to speak to when deciding on how best to use that CPD fund, but we expect you to spend every penny of it. The expectations of being a Psych Star. As I mentioned, the introduction event is a mandatory event at the start of the 12-month scheme, so we expect you to attend that. We'd like all Psych Stars to make initial contact with their mentor within the first couple of weeks of the scheme. And that initial meeting is important, really, to kind of set a bit of a learning contract, if you like, or a bit of a personal development plan. What do you want to get out of your 12 months with the scheme? And I think that's as helpful for your mentor as it is for you as the Psych Star, because you need to understand what are the opportunities that are going to be available and what's going to be achievable within the 12 months. And it's really important that you then maintain that regular contact with your mentor, whether that's through meeting face-to-face or through meeting remotely. You may have regular email contact, but the more regular you have contact with your mentor, the more you'll get out of the scheme. We do arrange catch-up sessions as well over the course of the 12 months. So normally I like to meet with the Psych Stars 3 times a year, just to really check in and see how things are going and to find out what the Psych Star bursars have been up to. And also we meet at Congress as well. So there's a breakfast normally on the Tuesday of the International Congress. We have a breakfast for the Psych Stars and the Aggregate Fellows as well. So you are expected to attend that session at Congress. But most importantly, I think, is about being an ambassador for psychiatry. And it's about promoting the Psych Star scheme at a local level. The Psych Star scheme has been a huge success for the college, and we've seen interest in the initiative grow and grow for the last 7 years. And it's great to see more and more applicants applying for the Psych Star scheme, because it's clear there is a demand for this scheme, and that medical students are really keen to get involved. In terms of the application process itself, so there'll be an MS form, and that will be there'll be a link on the college website that will take you to that form. As I mentioned, the application window will open tomorrow at 1 p.m. and it will close on the 24th of March at 1 p.m. Unfortunately, we cannot accept late applications, so do start your preparation for the application process early. Don't leave it to the last minute. So there are 2 sections in the application. So the first section will need to be completed regardless of whether you're applying for one of the Central College Psych Star bursaries or one of the faculty-specific bursaries. And there are some questions that you will need to answer, which form the main part of the application. So how do you propose to spend the Psych Star CPD travel fund of £525? And what do you hope to achieve in your career as a psychiatrist? And outline how you'll prepare for this, both personally and professionally. And then finally, describe a situation with a patient which made you reflect. Now, that doesn't need to be a situation with a patient in a mental health setting. It could be in any one of your clinical placements, in any one of your years at medical school. But what we would ask you to do is to please have a look on the college website, the college's values and behaviours, and make reference to them when you're completing your application. Try to factor them into your answers to those 3 questions. The faculty Psych Star application process. So if you want to apply for one of the faculty-specific Psych Star bursaries, you must complete section 1 of the 4. But in addition, you will be asked to also complete the second section as well, which is faculty-specific. And it is important to know you can apply for both. Okay, so you can apply for the college Psych Star bursary and also a faculty-specific one. And equally, you can apply for more than one faculty Psych Star position. So you may have an interest in forensic psychiatry and older adult psychiatry. You can apply for both of the faculty Psych Star bursaries if you wish to do so. But what you will be asked to do is to put in order of preference the faculty-specific Psych Star application. So whichever one you would like the most, make sure you put that as your number 1 choice when you're asked for your order of preference. And do check that before submitting your application, because we won't be able to change that once you've submitted your application. I'm really pleased at how embracing the faculties have been within the college. So we have 13 faculties within the Royal College of Psychiatrists, and so far we've had confirmation already from 11 of the 13 faculties that they are keen to support the Psych Star scheme for this year, and that they will offer a Psych Star bursary within their faculty. And I think really that just provides an indication as to how popular the scheme has been over the last few years, because we've seen that number increase and increase. And I would hope that all 13 faculties will support the Psych Star scheme for the 2026-27 cohort. So we're just waiting for confirmation for the final 2. But they will be listed on the application form on the college website within the faculty-specific question instructions on how to submit this. So the deadline for application will remain the same for the faculty Psych Star application process. Very happy to take any questions. So I just want to say as well, a huge good luck with your application. Do seek support from a senior medical colleague or a current Psych Star, or someone that you know who's applied the scheme before. Do get someone to check your application. It's always a good sense check, if you like, to see whether there's anything you may add to strengthen your application. But do feel free to email the careers team at the college if you've got any queries about the application process itself or about the Psych Star scheme. And as I said, we will have time for questions as well as part of this webinar. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay, so it gives me great pleasure to introduce one of our previous Psych Stars, Leanne Cade, who was the previous child and adolescent mental health Psych Star, and she's going to speak a little bit about her own personal experience of having been involved with the scheme. So over to yourself, Leanne. Thank you very much.
Hi there. So my name's Leanne. If we could get the slides up, if possible, please. Thank you. And if we could put it on full screen. So a little bit about me. I applied during a gap year, so just going into my 5th year. I had some time out as I had a little toddler. Her name is Anastasia, just here. And so I applied for child and adolescent Psych Star faculty. And my particular interest was adults with autism. Infants with autism. So I'll tell you a little bit about how the 12 months went. If we could go to the next slide, please. So overall, it was my final year, putting the scheme into place. It was the hardest year of my studies so far. I was living alone as a full-time mum in Aberdeen, so very up north. Obviously, in your final year, you're doing your student assistantship. You've got your OSCE, your prescribing safety examination, your medical elective. And then I had my brother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he passed away in being diagnosed of a few months of his diagnosis. So it was a very chaotic year to try to get through. So if we could go to the next slide. This talk that I attended and then the previous one, so the introduction talk, I just want to say, like, there was one lady, she gave a talk just about her experiences with being connected with the college and just like how humanizing the process was of having connections of people that are like-minded, keen interest in psychiatry. And she shared an experience, I think, about her father was ill and how she managed her career alongside that. I didn't expect to be given a similar talk with my brother, but life happens. So I just kind of want to talk about what I achieved within the scheme and how the scheme really helped me to get through this year and to accomplish a lot. So if we could go to the next slide, thank you. So my medical elective was where I kind of had my research framed within child and adolescent. So I focused on infants at risk of autism, and I did mediated interventions. That was my interest. And I wanted to do a systematic review and meta-analysis. It's quite a task to do, I think, as a medical student. Had no previous experience of doing this. However, there was a WhatsApp group created with all the Psych Stars. And I remember the chaos of final year and just life, as I explained, happening, losing my brother. It was quite a lot, and managing my toddler and 5th year. So it got to the point where I was just trying to study for my exams and just get by. I hadn't arranged much. And then I realized, like, for a systematic review, you need a team. So last minute, I'd rigorously planned all the research. And last minute, I thought, how am I going to do this? Like, I'm in sheer panic, but realized, like, at the hands of this group chat, I had the most enthusiastic, like-minded students like myself interested in psychiatry in the whole of the UK, just at the touch of a button. I writ, is anyone interested in some research? We're going to be keen for publication afterwards. Drop me a message. And my phone was ping, 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 ping for the next few days. And so much enthusiasm and willingness to get involved. I was very taken back and shocked and comforted at the same time in the most challenging year of my life so far. So if we could go to the next slide, please. So what did we achieve from that one message in that group chat? Let's go to the next slide. So I carried out the systematic review. I had a whole team of psych students from the Psych Star Scheme involved. We reviewed the papers and we went beyond that. I submitted my elective. This is my daughter here helping me get it all ready. And we received the Elective Advisors Medal when we graduated together for the most meritorious project. So our systematic review was done very rigorously, and together we really did accomplish something great. And if we could go to the next slide for that. We then pushed it further. Henry, he's a previous psych, so I can see his picture down as one of the authors here. I can't thank him enough. He pushed this project forward whilst I was actually working on the wards as a doctor after graduation. He put it forward for future psych publication and had his colleagues help redraft it for the journal. So that was great. If we go to the next slide. We also presented the work at the Medical Education Conference. So again, all these things are like amazing for your portfolio, whether you're a medical student or an FY1 doctor like myself. You need international presentations, evidence of research. So this is all very, very helpful. And then the next slide, please. Henry, again, with his amazing work ethic, pushed it even further and submitted it for international presentation. So this is the conference that we've been accepted to. And this has gone for, after the conference, all the abstracts submitted are then PubMed indexed, which again is so valuable for your internal medicine applications, psychiatry applications, wherever that you want to go as a doctor. It's very, very valuable to have that. So if we go to the next slide. So aside from that, I actually also ventured into other areas. So like Declan mentioned, you can apply for different faculties. So although I did apply for the Child and Adolescent Psych Star Scheme, I was also very interested in other areas. So I had also an interest in forensic psychiatry. So whilst within the scheme, I entered this essay competition, and that's just something alongside. So just to encourage you that even if you are selected for one faculty, you don't need to stay within that box. Like, seek interest among other areas and speak with your colleagues on that scheme and see, how you can work together. So we presented at this national conference as well within the Royal College of Psychiatrists. So yeah, next slide. So what I thought at first, and probably was still the hardest year ever that I've experienced, turned out to be academically and just like overall the skills that I learned, the strongest year, I think, of my career and life so far. So I developed like translational skills, like research skills that I can carry forward with me now. Like I know how to conduct very rigorous research. I know how to submit an abstract for publication, to do international presentations, and the process of translating that into a poster for conferences. Prioritization, I learned among doing all of this, what you need to prioritize is like your family and your life and seeking support where it matters. So I obviously had my toddler, but through doing a systematic review, I was actually able to be with my brother, hold his hand when he passed away, but with the correct support, still achieve like really great things. So one thing I think it also translates to is like, I didn't have a clear plan. I didn't know how I was going to execute this research or just my time as a psych star. It's okay to be unsure of what you want to achieve. When you become a doctor, this is going to be a very common theme, like you're unfamiliar in a situation and you need to seek support from people around you. As an F1, that's absolutely key. And I think in psychiatry that also plays out. So you've got a team, you're going to have your mentors, you're going to have the psychiatrists, you're going to have like-minded students as well. Utilize that. And like myself and Henry and a few others, this team is going to like live beyond the scheme. We're still conducting research now, we're still pushing our projects forward, and it's just something invaluable, I think, to have. So I'm very grateful as well for the flexibility of the scheme to attend conferences, whether it's like online, to have that flexibility for myself as a mom of a 2-year-old. So I'm just very grateful of the scheme in itself. And I just think I would encourage you to utilize your mentors and the other individuals that on the scheme with you, and I just wish you all the best. I did leave my number, but I think the PowerPoint that I've sent doesn't have it, but you can see my name if anybody wants to reach out through social media and ask me any questions about the application process, or if they do get onto the scheme, I'm happy to answer any questions about any ideas for projects or things going forward. So I'm not sure if there is another slide. Oh, okay, so there's my number and my email. Feel free to get in touch with me by email or WhatsApp, and happy to answer any questions as and when I can manage alongside my ward work. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Leanne. You know, clearly a fantastic ambassador for the scheme. Amazing what you managed to achieve there, especially with everything else going on in the background. So thank you for coming to talk to us this evening. Inspiring. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome one of our current Psych Stars, Dorothy Koo, who is one of our college Psych Stars. So Dorothy is also going to talk a little bit about her own personal experience of being involved with the scheme in the current cohort. So Dorothy, over to you. Are you with us, Dorothy? You're on mute currently. Oh, I think we've just lost her temporarily. Oh, no, there we go. We've got her back. Hi, Dorothy.
Hello, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I see you.
Yeah, sorry, my internet isn't great, but let's see how we go. So, hello everyone, my name's Dorothy. I am a current college Psych Star, as Declan introduced, and I'm a second year graduate entry medical student at King's College London Portsmouth branch. So, Portsmouth branch is a relatively new medical school, and so I'm quite happy to be selected. So, started off a little bit about me. So grew up in Hong Kong. I did a sports medical sciences um, bachelor's. I went to NHS to do 2 years of graduate management trainee before coming back to medical school. So it is a bit longer journey, but in this throughout this time, I think I have a lot of time to explore my interests, and like from my dissertation in undergrad, during my management training, and then through med school, I have a bit of time to kind of refine my interest. And funny enough, I kind of landed on I'm interested in psychiatry, specifically in childhood trauma and medical psychotherapy, as well as a lot of different like AI and digital like applications of mental health. So I was made aware of the Psych Star scheme quite early on in my journey, a lot to do with my links with KCL, really. And I just thought it would be a good opportunity for me to get in touch with a lot of like-minded peers and maybe try to get a bit more opportunities to expand and explore my interests, really. So I applied to the scheme, very fortunately got selected to be a college psych star, and I am allocated to a psychiatrist who is actually very good at giving me a lot of advice and like points me to the right direction, um, despite he isn't a specialist in my very exact niche of like childhood trauma or like medical psychotherapy. Um, so I think even you have a different, like you have a mentor of a different interest, they would still be very, very useful and beneficial for you to network and point you to the right people who may be able to like talk to you more about your specific niche. Um, so the other thing I have been doing is really to try to connect with different peers on the scheme. So I have met with the medical psychotherapist um Psych Star, and as well as his mentor actually, and but we had very like extensive chats about different aspects of medical psychotherapy, different models of medical psychotherapy, as well as how like more realities about this role. So I think the networking opportunity that you can get from the scheme is actually quite good, because you are exposed to people with similar interest as well. You have the access through different people. You might be introduced by one person to another person to another person, but you will be able to reach out to someone that, yeah, as I said, can share your interest and talk to you more about it. So one other thing I did on the scheme was I did support one of my fellow Psych Star, who was the host of this year's National Student Psychiatry Conference. And I have also submitted to her poster competition. And very, very fortunately, me and my buddy have won the competition with our research on a narrative review on somatic experiencing, which is actually quite a niche topic, also a type of psychotherapy, which is also my interest. But I probably wouldn't have signed up to that competition or know about that competition if I hadn't, if I haven't known this person who is hosting this NSPC. So it is, you get to know about a lot more opportunities by being in that circle, and knowing what other people are doing. Maybe someone else is signing up to a certain course, someone is hosting this event. So yeah, I think it is a good opportunity for you to know different things that's happening. And so obviously I'm a current Psych Star, and I am kind of halfway through my the scheme, and I haven't actually used up my CPT funding yet. However, I do plan to use it on different medical psychotherapy course that I could find. There are a few courses on the CPT RC Psych website that is on CPT, but I am interested in things like somatic experiencing, DBT, which I am trying to find other courses externally and use the funding to pay for it. And I am really looking forward to the International Congress. So that's a very brief overview about how I am using the scheme and how it's benefiting me. I do think, as I said, the biggest benefit I got out of it really is how the networking opportunities that come with it, the way that you can connect with people who knows the subject, who shares your same passion. And yeah, so I don't have slides today, but I'm happy to share my email address to anyone who wants to contact me about the application process or get advice on it. So yeah, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Dorothy, and great to see, obviously, with yourself being an applicant from Portsmouth Medical School as well, one of the newer medical schools. It's really fantastic to get applications from the newer medical schools. So I hope you're enjoying your experience and enjoy the rest of the scheme. So our final speaker is Dr. Jacob Bird, who's a consultant in neuropsychiatry, and Jacob's going to speak to us a little bit about what it's like to be a mentor for a Psych Star. And I think, as mentees, we rely on having a good mentor. So Jacob's going to give us his own thoughts on how to be a successful mentor to a Psych Star. Thank you very much, Jacob.
Hello, thanks, Declan. Thanks very much. Yeah, so thanks for having me. So I guess the first thing to say is I have done this, I have my second mentee now, and it's always been fun. That's the first thing to say. It's a lot of fun, hopefully for both parties, because I clearly learn things from sort of mentoring a young doctor who's coming up and interested and motivated in psychiatry.
What I'll do is we'll come to the question and answer session, and hopefully Jacob will be able to join us again. So I'll have a look at some of the questions. So this first question: can you be enrolled during an intercalation year? Yes, you absolutely can. So I should have mentioned this in my presentation. You're eligible to apply for the Psych Star scheme if you're intercalating, taking a year out of your studies. That's fine, so long as you're still enrolled at your medical school, but it's okay to be an intercalating student. In fact, some of our Psych Stars are intercalating, actually. I should just mention as well, before I come to the next question, I think I may have got the date wrong for the interviews when I presented. The date is the 14th of May. I double checked that in my calendar. It's definitely the 14th of May, so apologies. I think I may have said the 14th of March, which will be absolutely wrong because that's slap bang in the middle of the application window. So the interviews for Psych Stars is the 14th of May. Next question here about if you're an international student and the scheme is 12 months long, do you have to stay in the UK for that entire year? No, you don't have to be in the UK for the entire year, because I accept that during the holiday period, you may well be going back to your home country. So, for example, over the Christmas period or Easter period, that's absolutely fine. That wouldn't mean that you're excluded from applying to the Psych Star scheme or being a Psych Star. Obviously, what I would say is if you are returning to your home country for a significant period of time, you may just want to make your mentor aware of that, speak with them, and make sure that they're aware that perhaps you're not going to be able to be in contact with them for a few weeks because you're returning home, etc. But absolutely fine to be an international student. Would certainly welcome applications from any international medical students as well. How many places are there on the scheme? Not enough, in my view. At the moment, we have 11 faculty-specific Psych Star bursaries. So we are hopeful the final 2 faculties will also agree to provide a Psych Star bursary. But at the moment, there are 11 faculty-specific and 10 college Psych Stars. That's my understanding in terms of the current numbers. You've got a reasonable chance if you submit an application, though it is competitive. It's a competitive process. It's really down to funding availability within the college. How many students will be selected for the Psych Star college scheme? So that's the same question. So I've just answered that one. Can you apply for both the Psych Star scheme and the Agri-Burke Fellowship? Yes, so that's a very good question. So the Agri-Burke Fellowship is a new scheme that has been set up within the last couple of years. If you are applying for the Agri-Burke Fellowship, you are still eligible to apply for the Psych Star scheme as well, because the Agri-Burke Fellowship is set up specifically for Black medical students with an interest in psychiatry. Is the Psych Star scheme trying to get one student from each medical school? No. So I've often toyed with this idea about whether or not we need to think about sort of how the Psych Star scheme bursaries are allocated and whether we should do it according to English division and the devolved nations, etc., to have an equal number from each of those. We don't do that. What we do is we choose the highest scoring applications. So obviously there's a shortlisting process. We review all the applications, do a shortlisting process, and then we interview the highest scoring that are shortlisted. And the one thing I will say is that the scheme, when you apply to the scheme, your data is anonymized. So when we're reviewing the application for each Psych Star applicant, we have no idea which medical school you're from. Yeah, so I don't know whether you're from the University of Liverpool or whether you're from King's College London. So all that data is removed, so it's anonymised, and therefore there cannot be any bias in terms of scoring of applicants. Yeah, so we anonymise all the data. So it's not done according to which English division or which devolved nation your medical school is based in. How are the applications scored? So you'll have noticed, if you were present for my presentation, that there are 3 application questions. So we award a score for each of them. There is more than one scorer per applicant, and what we do then is we collate the scores and we look at the cumulative score, so that there is more than one scorer for each applicant. There's normally 2. Roughly how many students apply for the Psych Star scheme every year? Good question. We have seen an increase in the number of applications to the Psych Star scheme over the last sort of few years since we've come out of COVID. As we expected during the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a little bit of a reduction in the number of applications. We've definitely come out the other side of that now, because we saw almost a 50% increase in the number of applications for the current cohort of Psych Stars compared with the previous cohorts. So it is always difficult to say, but the number is increasing. It was around about 100 for the current cohort Psych Stars. So, you know, it's difficult to know whether or not it's going to be more or less than that this time around. Where do we find the application? I can't find it on the RC Psych website. You can't find it on the RC Psych website because you're actually looking too soon. So the information will go live tomorrow on the RC Psych website. So if you're looking now, you unfortunately looked too soon. So go back to the RC Psych website tomorrow. From midday onwards, the application information should be available for you to view on there. If you have any problems accessing it, do get in contact with the careers team at the college. How competitive is the application process? Well, I've kind of answered that question already. It's competitive, and it's difficult to say, you know, how many applicants we get per Psych Star bursary, but it is competitive. Would someone earlier in their medical student journey be disadvantaged due to not having seen many patients or done the psychiatry placement yet? That's a really good question. And one of the things I would say is that it absolutely doesn't make a difference whether or not you are in your first year of study or a final year, going into your final year of your medicine degree. Similarly, it doesn't matter whether you've done your psychiatry placement at medical school or not. So we welcome applications from all years, okay? So we welcome applications from all years, including the intercalating students. So please don't feel, if you're an early years preclinical medical student, that you've got less of a chance or that your application will be any weaker than the applicant who's done the psychiatry placement or who's going into the final year medical school. That is not the case. Okay. Keep your questions coming in. We've got a little bit more time left with the webinar, and you know, this is your opportunity. Or if you have any questions specifically you'd like to ask Leanne or Dorothy as our previous and current Psych Star, please do let us know. I don't think, unfortunately, Jacob's been able to rejoin us, so apologies that we've lost Jacob. Clearly, there was connectivity issues there ongoing, and I know he's probably tried to log back in. But I'm assuming he's not going to be able to rejoin us. He may be able to, if there are any questions specifically you want to ask in relation to being a Psych Star mentor, please do direct them to the college careers team. We can always address them to Jacob to answer. There's a question here about any extra weighting given to care experienced widening participation students. That's a really good question. So we would absolutely welcome applications from any students from a widening participation background. At the moment, we haven't allocated any extra weighting with regards to scoring of applications from widening participation students. But that's not to say that's not something we should be looking at. And certainly that is something I will go away and speak to Katrina and Claire with the careers team about. It's not something I've considered. So thank you very much for raising that really valuable question. Actually, that's something we need to think carefully about. You know, I think it's worth noting that if you're from a widening participation background, it's undoubtedly perhaps more difficult to gain some of the experiences that you know, those students that aren't from such a background have been able to access. So would certainly welcome applications from such students. But yeah, we will look into that. Thank you very much. Okay, I've no more questions in the Q&A box. I'm going to check with Katrina and Lizzie. Have we heard from Jacob at all, guys? Has he not been able to join? He's not been able to rejoin us. Oh, Dorothy, I see you've got your hand up as well. Go on.
Sorry, I was going to add a bit more about the question on if someone would be disadvantaged earlier in medical student journey. Yeah. So, because I applied when I was in my first year of my graduate entry medicine course, so I think I can also give a bit more insight from that front. So I didn't do any placements in psych up to that point. I don't think you would be disadvantaged per se if you are interested and you have demonstrated that interest by doing other things. So I have done a few different research projects in mental health. I did one with military mental health. I did one in AI in mental health. I've also volunteered and worked in various mental health crisis setting, and I think you can gain experience otherwise as well. So I think the point is more showing that you are interested and what you have done with that interest, really. So yeah, that's my answer.
Okay, thanks for that, Dorothy. Yeah, so there you go. So, and I suppose it's worth noting as well, obviously, as a graduate entry medical student as well, equally, you are certainly eligible to apply and would not be disadvantaged as a graduate entry versus non-graduate entry. A couple more questions come in, so do keep them coming in. We've got another 9 minutes. So question, historically, what is the ratio of successful Psych Star Scheme students who are domestic versus international? That's a very good question, and one that I cannot answer. I don't have that data to hand. It's not something we've specifically looked at formally. That's not to say something that maybe we should be looking at. I think sometimes perhaps international medical students might feel a little bit more anxious about submitting an application or feel less confident. We would certainly welcome applications from international medical students and would very much support an international medical student appointed as a Psych Star. So something perhaps for us to look into in the future, because I don't have that data to hand currently. What are you looking for to make the application as competitive as possible? So I think one of the things I will say is there is sometimes this myth that being successful in applying for the Psych Star Scheme is all about being able to demonstrate an academic interest, having turned out 3 papers in the last year and got first author in a paper in the Lancet Psychiatry. It's not about that at all. I suppose the most important thing for us is that you are a good ambassador for the specialty, that you're enthusiastic about psychiatry, that you're interested in the specialty, and that, as I say, you're a good ambassador. I think that's the key thing, really. And enthusiasm and interest and a desire to expand your experience of psychiatry, that is really going to be key, I think, to submitting a successful application. And I suppose it's about being authentic and sincere as well. What is it you want to do with the CPD fund? Why is it important to you to have that CPD fund? And why do you think having a mentor would benefit you in terms of your career aspirations? So, be sincere, be authentic, and be truthful. And really, that's what we'd ask for. Don't worry if you haven't got an academic background. That's not going to weaken your application in any way, shape, or form. Okay, no other questions at the moment. So we've got a couple of minutes. So I suppose if I just come back to yourselves, Leanne and Dorothy, obviously, there are some people in the audience tonight who'll be thinking about submitting an application, perhaps a little bit unsure. If you could provide maybe 2 pieces of advice each, what would you say? So I'll come to you first, Dorothy. Kind of two pieces of advice to anyone thinking of applying to the scheme. What would you say? Sorry, I put you on the spot
there. That's fine. I think, as you were saying, is to stay genuine, because I think everyone would have their reasons of why they're interested in psych or want to be a psychiatrist. And I think it's about about knowing what you want out of it as well. Because by staying genuine, you can shape the scheme to your own interests. So, for example, I'm interested in medical psychotherapy, then I will be trying to talk more about it in my application. And when I got it, I try to network with more people in medical psychotherapy. So it is about being genuine to your own interests, really. And I guess the second piece of advice is to show that you are curious. Because obviously, in such an early stage of medical school, I don't think the application form is looking for someone who has a wealth of knowledge of psychiatry necessarily, but has the enthusiasm to like explore and to learn new things. So that's my take of it when I was trying to write up the application anyways. So yeah, hope
Thank you,
that's
Dorothy.
helpful.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. Leanne, what about yourself? 2 pieces
Hi.
of advice?
Yeah, so I think, like you mentioned, being authentic. Sorry, you've got a big glare from my mirror there. So being authentic in your application. So just because you don't have an academic background or maybe you don't have actual experience in psychiatry yet, there's still things that you can use that would translate those skills to a psychiatric like setting. So be honest about what you've been exposed to, but also be honest about your interest, but try to be creative and reflective with it. Like think, what don't you have, but what you wish to acquire. So I think there's one section about what do you want to achieve in your career as psychiatry. So you can think about those things in a reflective way, like what don't you have that this scheme will benefit you, and how you can utilize yourself within the scheme, like going forward with the connections you make. And also don't be afraid to apply to multiple. Like you said, there's no limit within the faculties. If you have an interest in certain things and you're very enthusiastic about them, then write about them and send off a few applications if that's what you wish.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Leanne. And I suppose the most important thing to say is that, if you're not successful this time around, do try again next year. There's nothing to say that you won't be successful next time. It is a competitive process, but we would absolutely encourage you to apply again for the next year's Psych Star Scheme. And of course, remember, it's only a 12-month scheme, but that doesn't mean that your relationship with your Psych Star Scheme mentor has to end at 12 months. So very often what our Psych Stars do is they will continue to make contact with the mentor, and they'll continue to work with them and take advantage of the opportunities. So really, it's about just providing the floodgates, if you like, to open then to all those networking opportunities and additional clinical experiences that you wouldn't otherwise be able to experience. I'm very conscious of the time. We're almost coming up to 7 o'clock. Unfortunately, Dr. Bird's not going to be able to join us again. But I want to say a huge thank you to you all for joining this evening. I want to say a big thank you, particularly to Dorothy and Leanne for giving up their free time to come and speak to you as a previous and current Psych Star. And I want to say a huge thank you as well to Katrina, Claire and Lizzie behind the scenes for all the work that they do and all the support they provide me with helping to run the Psych Star Scheme. Oh, and we've got another question. So I will just, we've got 2 minutes for questions. When sending more than one application, can the section ones be the same? Yes, absolutely, because the section 1 is just the more generic question. So it's just the second section, which is faculty specific. Obviously, you will have to tailor that to each individual faculty Psych Star bursary that you're applying to. But the answers to section 1 can just remain the same if you're applying for more than one of the faculty specific Psych Star bursaries. That's absolutely fine. Just as a reminder, the application window will open tomorrow at midday and will remain open until 1 p.m. on Tuesday, the 24th of March. And then interviews will be on the 14th of May, and they'll be done remotely. Thank you very much for joining this evening. Best of luck with your applications. Do get in contact with the college team and the careers team at the college if you've got any queries about the scheme, and look forward to reading the applications in due course. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye for now.